Hi everybody, it's Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au. I wanted to speak to you today about price data produced by research companies and published almost daily in the media. I think the bottom line is that you can't trust these figures and treat them as factual, although they're presented as such by newspapers and other forms of media. We recently did a comparison on the price growth figures for houses and apartments for the 8 capital cities across Australia from 3 major sources and found that there are very, very significant differences in the price growth figures claimed from one source to the other. To give you an example, how much have house prices grown in Melbourne in the last 12 months? Well, according to one source, it's about 10%, but another source says it's 15.5%, and the third source says it's a whopping 23.1%. Can you believe that? 23%, I find that very hard to believe, but the price range for the growth in house prices for Melbourne for the last 12 months ranges from 10% to 23%. For Sydney, one source says it's only about 4.5%, which would tend to confirm, if the figure is right, that the Sydney house price boom is pretty much over and the rate of growth is dropping quite steadily. But another source says it's still 7%, while the third source says it's 10%, which is still a pretty strong rate of growth. So who do you believe? 4%, 7%, 10%? All 3 reputable sources, and the 3 sources are the Australian Bureau of Statistics, CoreLogic, who are published in media most days as the quintessential source of price data and other real estate statistics, and also SQM Research, another major source of data on all things real estate. The Canberra housing market, the price growth range from the 3 sources there ranges from 6% to 17%. We've got 2 sources claiming that Brisbane apartment prices are falling, but the third source says they're rising. Whereas for Melbourne apartments, they're either rising 4.5%, 9%, or 15%, depending on whose figures you believe. For Hobart apartments, they're up 8% according to CoreLogic, but the Australian Bureau of Statistics says they've risen 18%. There's quite a difference, 8%, 18%. Who do you believe? Who's right? Well, the possibility is that they're all wrong. I think what we need to understand is that all real estate statistics are rubbery figures to a certain degree. It's all dodgy data because there are so many vagaries. They all have different methodologies and there's so many things that can affect the final outcome. They all claim that their methodologies are the best, but we've got these extraordinary discrepancies and differences from one reputable source to the next. The thing is, media reports each set of figures in isolation. They'll get a press release from one source and publish their figures on house price growth as fact. And then a week later will come along another set of figures from another source, which will also be published as facts, but they quite often totally contradict the figures from a week earlier, with one saying a particular market is rising and the other saying a particular market is falling, or one saying, for example, Sydney house prices growth rates dropped to 4%, while another source says it's still growing at a very strong 10%. Who do you believe? I would suggest you can't really believe any of them. You certainly can't take these figures to the bank, and you certainly cannot base really big, important, big money investment decisions on these sorts of figures. You've got to do deeper research. That's all for now. Terry Ryder from Hotspotting. I'll speak to you again later in the week.